This is going to probably be filmed over the course of a couple days, so if you notice my shirt changes, that's why. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. This particular video, if I pull it off and everything goes well, you're going to see a few steps of some of the not so pleasant side of keeping animals. And that is basically when they get sick and you got to take them to the vet. So this morning I'm getting ready to pack up one of my carpet pythons who's had a lump growing in his throat for a while that is now impacting his breathing and eating ability, and we're going to get him into the vet. And because it's COVID times and we can't really go in, it's going to be sort of a drop-off service. I'm going to communicate with the vets. These folks have seen several of my snakes before. They're pretty good, and I'm glad to have local options, them included. So, you know, I was hoping this would not be anything serious and he would live with it and it'd be no big deal, but it is now impacting his quality of life. So, today we are taking my tiger male that was produced by Todd Dyer. His name is Ripstick. I picked him out when he was a little baby. You can see him right here. Looking miserable. Feeling like crap. You can't see it, but there's a lump in the bottom of his glottis underneath his head that's starting to impact. It's getting so big his respiratory system is impacted. So his glottis, instead of being like that, is now like that. And his whole body's trying to get a lot of air in through a tiny little tube that's now being blocked by whatever this is. So my guess is he will likely need surgery to have it removed. Probably have a couple stitches, some antibiotics, and then they will run some diagnostics on whatever this tissue or mass that they pull out is. So it shouldn't be anything necessarily life-threatening. I did get him nido tested a few weeks back and he is negative, so it doesn't seem to be associated with that. So we're just going to cross our fingers, hope for the best, get him there, and assume that he's going to need surgery, a couple weeks of antibiotics and injections, and then probably a follow-up to have stitches out later on. So, here we go again. Alright, buddy. Get you all fixed up. See that lump right there? Alright, champ. Off we go. Well, about to leave the vet's office. Got some good news. Dr. Anger does not actually think that what's going on is a tumor. However, we did a culture that we're sending out for testing and an aspirate for just to see if there's anything else in there. So we're running a bunch of diagnostics, and I definitely didn't have to pay as much as I thought I would. So that's excellent news, and I get to bring him home with me. I don't have to make a second trip out here today. And yeah, so for now we're gonna wait and see what the results yield, get him on some antibiotics, and see if that takes care of it, and just kind of roll from there. So hopefully the next time you see me here, it'll be a few days later and we'll have some sort of update. Otherwise this will be a long drawn out video over a couple days or weeks. Anyway, good news all around, I think, so I'll take it. Alright, so he's home. So what's going to be happening for the next 3 weeks is he's going to be receiving an injection of ceftazidime intramuscularly into the first third of his body. So if you've never dealt with injectables, there's two methods. There's subcutaneous, which is just directly under the external dermal layer of skin, and then there's intramuscular, where you got to go in and find a good pocket of muscle. With snakes, you want to sort of imagine them as a straight line, and then the head is right here. Injections go in the first third of the body. That's where all of their organs are, so it'll allow it to pass through the whole system up there and do its job. And if I were to give this subcutaneously instead of intramuscularly as it is prescribed, it certainly wouldn't do its job. So something to be mindful of. This stuff remains frozen, so this one is out because I'm going to use it. This whole jar right here is going to go in the freezer, and every 3 days he's going to get another injection. What I'm going to do in order to keep track of that is I'm going to put together just a little list, write out all the dates that he should be getting his injection, and then as I go through, I can document, yes, he received it, and I'll probably alternate sides. Like if his spine is right here, you know, one day I'll do the left, the next one do the right. So that way I can sort of spread it out, not go too hard on some of the skin. This stuff doesn't necessarily burn like Fortaz or Baytril does, so you usually don't get much of a reaction from the actual injection, but sometimes the initial poke is what will elicit some less than pleasant responses. So he's going to be getting that, and then because he's got this infection that's created a glandular swelling, or so that's what the doctor thinks, there's a lot of mucus buildup in there. So they gave me some more Chlorhex, Novosan stuff. I already have it, but I'll take more. And they want me to dilute it and squirt it into his mouth and rinse it out, because this stuff is animal safe. And when you do that, you tilt them a little bit forward so they're not ingesting it. So we'll be doing that on a daily basis as well, over the 3 weeks basically, and or actually no, 5 days, just 5 days. So just to help clean it out, so he's not trying to wheeze as much, because he's a little snotty. But I guess, you know, that's good news, because it's not a surgery. He doesn't have a tumor, anything like that, hopefully. So hopefully the results come back that it's just some funky bacteria, and this will do the trick. So I'm gonna do that, and yeah, maybe you'll be able to see it. I can even bring you in close, folks. Let's see how we do this. Oh, I love this little screen. This is great. Come on now. Nope. Okay. So we're gonna do that. So first thing, you gotta clear the little air bubble out of here. Make sure we get the appropriate dosage. You don't want to inject air into your animal, that is for sure. And you definitely want to be careful with this needle. So set it aside and get your boy. We're going to, so first third of his body, kind of right in this area here. And you need to expect that they're not going to enjoy this. So we're going to go, let me see here. We're going to go, here's the spine. I'm going to go to the left of the spine, go between a scale. Ooh, shiza. Don't do that. I know. And then we're going to go straight in. So I'm not under the skin, I'm going into the muscle tissue. And we go. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure right there. You may not have seen it because I kind of do it one hand, but I do a little pullback when I inject, because you want to make sure you don't drop any blood, so you don't want to hit any bad spots. So once you inject, you can kind of do a little pullback. Make sure you get an air bubble. There will be some resistance. It'll pull and then go back, and that's when you know you're in a good spot, and then you can plunge. And no, I don't do drugs. I've never done any drugs like this. I've just been working in zoos for almost a decade, and I was fortunate enough in Santa Barbara that we were very much involved in a lot of the medication administration there. So I've had a lot of practice doing this on snakes, lizards, frogs, turtles. Yeah, so if you're not comfortable doing this, always get help. And another thing, don't just throw away your needles. Create a sharps container, because you can dispose of them. Usually local fire departments or police departments, or even your vet office, just put a safe container labeled clearly for your syringes and needles and spent ones. You don't want to deal with bacteria of anything like that, so just be smart, please. Alright, so I took the Novosan they gave me, and as you can tell, it's a lot more lighter in color now, because I dumped it in here, replaced and refreshed my weekly or every 2 week or so supply with that, and left just enough in here to dilute it to the appropriate amount. So it goes from a darker, really concentrated amount to this very, like I said, that ice Gatorade sort of blue. And this stuff is an antimicrobial, disinfectant for animals specifically. It's been pretty much my go-to disinfectant for these guys because it is very effective yet soft and safe on them. Things like bleach and Virkon and other things like that can be pretty tough. So I've given him a few minutes. Ugh. See all that? That's gotta go. So he's had a few minutes of time to chill since he took his injection, which he did very well. And this guy used to be very rude, hence the name Ripstick. He's just not historically been the nicest animal of mine, behavior-wise. He's a gorgeous animal, one of the nicest animals I've got, phenotypically speaking. And, oh yeah, we're getting some funk out of here. Don't you be grabbing. I'm doing this in my kitchen. Terrible idea. You're about to throw some stuff. Yeah, expect some pushback. If you've got a second set of hands, fantastic. Have somebody help. It'll be a lot easier. I'm home alone today, unfortunately. So we're going to just pull that open a little bit and just wash all that out nice and gentle-like. Like I said, folks, sometimes when you keep animals, even under the best of conditions, they get sick. So, almost done, but get the roof of his mouth out of here. Get this cheesiness. You gotta be careful with their teeth. You don't want to damage their teeth. A little more here. I'm just gonna use this every time. Oh, thanks, bud. So I'm gonna let him clear that out a little bit. Hold his head down for a sec. As you can hear, he's gurgling that stuff. So give him a minute in case he wants to drool or gloop anything out. But oh, that sounded good. That was a clear airway. Cool. Yeah, not very glamorous, but all things considered, he hasn't even tried to bite me. I think he's just too, like, wrecked. So anyway, I'm gonna go put him away, get him cleaned up, and do this for 3 whole weeks. What's up, people? It's been about 6 days since we started Ripstick's treatment regimen, and it's hard to say if anything's getting better. We're due for an injection today, so we're gonna get that done. I've already got that thawed and drawn up, and the 5 days of doctor recommended oral wash with the Novosan has been done, which is good because that was kind of like the most stressful thing for him, and I guess it helped, but he's still got the swelling in his throat. I can't tell if it looks more deflated or not. At this point, we're basically waiting on the results of the culture and the aspirate still, and hoping these antibiotics help in the meantime, if not do the job entirely, which they could. It just depends on what's going on. So hopefully we'll have the results within the next couple days, or today, or as soon as possible, so we know that we're on the right track for this guy. But in the meantime, he's still being excellent about taking injections. So I'm gonna see if I can set this up. Y'all can see one more time how I do these injections. I was watching the footage from when I was treating him in the kitchen, and unfortunately it's hard to keep myself and what I'm doing up in the frame because I'm trying to keep things organized and not spill and keep him in one place. And as you saw at one point, his tail was around my face, so it was a little difficult, but I've had worse for sure. So without further ado, I'll give you one more shot on how I do intramuscular injections on my snake. Alright, so got the needle, the syringe, the medication capped still, but drawn up and measured out to where it needs to be. With intramuscular injections, you don't want to go under the skin, you want to get into the muscle, and you always want to put these medications in the first third of the body length of your snake in order for this medication to go through the infected areas and have the best chance of penetrating into their system and doing what it's designed to do. Now, normally, snakes are going to flail and fight you a little bit, and you want somebody with you, especially if you're not experienced, restraining the animal, make sure everything goes smoothly. You can hurt them doing this. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've got a lot of experience, and I know exactly how this animal's going to react. I also know how to give and administer these medications properly. I've had a lot of practice, so I'm going to maintain focus on the needle so I don't stick him or myself, but that was literally it. As you can see, he just wants to be left alone. He just wants to sleep. He just wants to feel better. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, done. Check that off the list. He's had his injection for the day. We're going to let him rest, and we'll do that again in 3 days. I'm going to offer him a meal this week, see if he's hungry. He didn't take the last time. Obviously, if you feel that crappy, you're probably not too keen on eating anyway. But, yeah, figured show you how that's done. I had a few people ask how you do that. They like to see it. It is a pretty unnerving thing to have to do, I suppose. And, hopefully none of you guys have these experiences, or, hopefully your animals stay healthy forever. And you never have to deal with giving an injection or taking care of a sick animal. So, but it does happen. So, anyway, that just about wraps it up. I could go through all sorts of stuff and draw this out longer than it needs to be, but what I wanted to kind of focus on was that it doesn't really matter who you are, what you keep, how you keep. Well, I guess to some degree it does, but for the most part, if you keep animals, you're going to encounter ailments, illnesses, and challenges, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you a bad keeper if you got an animal that gets an RI. It happens to the best of us. We are human, we make mistakes, and even when we do the best we can, we're working with biological organisms that don't follow our rules, they don't care what we do. Their body's pre-programmed and designed to do what it's going to do, and it responds accordingly. So, sometimes it's inevitable, sometimes it's not. One way or another, it's unpredictable. So, if any of you are watching this, and you have any sort of shame or embarrassment about having an animal in your care that's not doing well, don't be ashamed or embarrassed. You just saw that it's happening to me. This is not the first time. I hope it's the last time, but I'll be prepared in case it's not. So, yeah, it is what it is. Just, do right by the animal, be transparent, be yourself, and, nobody can fault you or judge you for anything. So, we all try to keep and grow and learn and improve. One of the things that, I would like to do is grow the space available to put my adults in cages so they have a little more room. I'm curious if some of these animals would maybe be healthier if they had a little more exercise. Obviously, some of my animals have big cages behind me over here too, whole wall of cages. And I'm not saying cages are better than racks. I will always use racks for raising babies, getting young animals up to speed, things like that, especially bringing in new animals from other people's style of care, typically done in racks. But if I had like a perfect world system, I would have animal plastics cages of appropriate size for all of my adults, and then raise everything up in racks until they go to adult cages. Now, that being said, I've had animals go from racks to adult cages and do horribly, and then I have to put them back in the rack, and they do fine. So, if you're, still on the fence about what you feel, just remember every animal is different too. So, racks might work best for some and not for others. They might hinder the ability for certain species to thrive, but all in all, if the animal's healthy, eating, thriving, doing its thing, it's great. And I'm not saying like the rack gave my snake an RI. That's not at all. I'm just curious, how I can improve his quality of life for the future. So hopefully he makes it through this, no sweat. and it'll just be a memory we put behind us, and keep working towards the future evolution of this room, and trying to iron it all out and get to my dream setup. 5-10 years, who knows? I'll probably never be satisfied. Let's be real. I'll get to a bunch of cages and racks in the way I like it, and then I'll find something else and I need that now. But that's the cool part, where it's such an innovation point in this era of reptile keeping, especially with COVID-19. Everybody's home and creating and being creative, so keep it up. It's fun. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. That's all for me today, or this week. This was filmed over a couple days, as you can tell. Different shirt. I finally showered, shaved my head, everything. Taking care of myself. You should too. Oh, alright. Well, yeah, I'm losing it. I need food and coffee. Deuces.